Hi guys, so just a quick video on how to make a festive wreath. Hopefully you're watching this video because you've bought a wreath making kit, or you might be thinking about buying one, and I'm hoping that I'm going to convince you today. So I'm going to go through what's included in the pack, what you're going to need as extra, how to make the wreath, and then how to look after it so it lasts as long as possible over the festive season. Okay, so in the pack you've got your moss or straw wreath ring, and I've attached the binding wire just to make that a bit easier to start. You've got some decorations, so you've got some of my home dried oranges, home dried apples, some of my pine cones that I've put a little decorative finish on of your choice, some cinnamon stick bundles, and a festive ribbon that I've just constructed into a bow and mounted just onto a wire just to make it a bit easy for you to attach. Okay, and then the things that you're going to need, you're going to need some scissors, some wire cutters. Obviously if you don't have any wire cutters you can just use your scissors, but it can blunt them, so just be careful. And you're going to need a hot glue gun as well, or super glue works just the same. Okay, and also some foliage obviously. You're going to need a nice mixture of foliage just from your garden or from a nice woodland walk that you go on, just anything that takes your fancy. I would recommend highly conifer, holly, ivy, or anything that kind of looks like a Christmas tree because it's really long lasting. And if you can get a nice variety of textures and colours in there as well, it just really adds an extra interest to your wreath. Okay, so you've obviously cut all your foliage. I would recommend cutting a longer piece, then you can cut it down to the length that you want, and you do always need more than you're going to expect. Okay, so I would say for a nice medium-sized wreath, you want in about hand's length of foliage. Obviously if you want to make something really massive you can do double that, or if you want something just quite small, half of that. Okay, so if you just gather a nice small bundle, so a little bit of everything I would suggest, just so you get those different colours and varieties going throughout. So gather a little bundle in your hand like so, and then your stems at the bottom, you just want to make sure they're free of any foliage, as this is the bit we're going to be binding. Okay, and we don't want to get it messy in there, we don't want any bits in there, otherwise it can just get really difficult. So make sure your stems are about 3-4 centimetres long. Hold it to your wreath like so. The further you angle it out, the bigger it's going to be, and then the more that you have it on the wreath following the shape, the smaller it's going to be. Okay, so hold it down, you get your wire, you go over those stems, pull it around once, twice, and make sure it's really tight, okay, because you don't want anything falling out. So you're going to carry that on through the whole of your wreath, making sure you're following that nice circular shape you've got and the nice dome profile. I'll just do one more to show you. So gather your little bundle, like so. There we go. So your stems at the bottom are just free of foliage and about 3 centimetres long. I'll show you again. So this time you're going to make sure that you're covering these binding wires because we don't want them on show. So cover those, follow the shape of your wreath as well, and pull it round twice. So once, pull tight, twice, pull tight. Okay, so you're just going to continue doing that around the whole of your wreath, and then I'll show you what to do when you get towards the end. Okay. So you'll have done your whole wreath, and then you're gathering your last little bundle, and there'll just be a little bit of the straw wreath on display that you're needing to cover. So I'll just show you how to finish it off easiest. So you've got your little bundle, stems free of foliage, and you're at the end. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to move these out your way so that you've got somewhere to tuck these stems into. So you're going to put it about, tuck it in there. So it's just easier if you do it with two hands. So you can pull your foliage away with one, hold your stems down with the other, almost try and just thread it through in between all them little pieces you'll have going on. Pull it once, pull it it twice and just make sure all your wires on there are fully covered. Okay, just like that. And then to finish it off, just going to leave a couple of inches of wire, cut them with your wire cutters, turn it over, and then you just need to bend this wire so that you can just thread it through. So just thread it underneath one of the other binding wires that you've already made, pull it tight, push it under again, pull it through, and then just tuck it in. Just push it into the actual straw, that end, just so that there's nothing sharp that's going to cut anybody or mark your door. Okay, there we go. And then for your decoration, so I always think it's best just to place things roughly where you're going to want them, just to make sure it's all evenly distributed around the wreath. So you can do clusters, so you could put both your oranges together, put two pine cones together, like so, or you can just individually dot them about just wherever you want on your wreath. And you don't have to use everything, just depends how full you're wanting to make it. Okay, so then to glue, so I recommend using quite a lot of glue because you don't want anything to fall off, and you need to act quite quickly because it just dries and goes hard quite quick. Ooh, just ran out of glue stick. Okay, so just apply your glue generously to the base of your pine cone, just because that's the strongest piece that's going to hold it down, rather than at the edges where it's quite delicate. So you just need to hold it down against your wreath, just against the straw. I would recommend that you glue onto rather than the foliage. There we go, so that's not going anywhere there. With your oranges, I would recommend that you glue on this lower little piece, almost like around this U piece. So I'm going to do it on the back, it's not as sightly. Loads of glue on there. I'm just going to tuck this one in there, but I'm going to make sure it's still against that wreath base, just as it's much more likely to stay. There we go, so that'll stay just there, and then you do that with every other piece. The berries are really easy to do, you can just push them straight into the straw. I'd recommend just dabbing a little bit of glue just so they're not going to go anywhere. And then the same with your cinnamon stick bundles, just put a lot of it underneath and you'll be able to just pop them wherever you want them. Okay, so then for your ribbon, I've already put some wires on that for you, so split the wires. Find out where you want to put it. You can have it in the middle, you can have it at the side, at the bottom, you can have it wherever you want on your wreath. At an angle, you can have it straight. I'd recommend just threading it through so then wires are as close to your wreath as possible. You don't want to get any of your foliage trapped, otherwise it can just take away from your nice shape. So you've got your two wires there, so you're just going to twist. I recommend holding the wires and just twisting the wreath over like that, so it just creates a nice secure support. Ooh, should use my wire cutters. Just cut them at a small length, fold them inwards like that, and just push them into the straw so there's no sharp pieces exposed. There we go. And then with the twine in your pack, this is just to hold it on the door, so you can have it as long as you want it, depending on how far you want it to hang from your door. So if you're wanting it quite low, you could use the whole length, but if you're just wanting it quite high up, just use a small bit. And then the same with the bow, so just try and put your twine as close to your straw as possible. It can be quite fiddly, but just try not to trap too many pieces in, otherwise it'll just take away from that nice shape that you've got. Gosh, it is finicky. There we go. Pull it through. And I recommend just tying it in a double knot just so that it's nice and secure. Once, twice. Pull it up, and you can either tie it in a knot if you want, or if you fancy doing a little, just a shoelace bow, like that. There we go. And that is your festive wreath. Well, yours will be more complete than mine. So just to look after your wreath and make it last as long as possible, I would recommend every few weeks or so just filling up your sink with about this much water, pushing the straw just right submerged under the water, and it'll absorb loads of water, and it'll just provide a bit of water for this foliage just so that it looks as fresh as possible for as long as possible. And you can also give it a nice spray with water as well, and that'll just help it keep as fresh as possible. Okay, so if you want to send me your completed wreaths or ask me questions, all my details are below, and I hope if you weren't sure on whether to make a wreath, this has convinced you. Alright, thanks very much for watching.